What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and over the last couple videos I decided to put together kind of a play-by-play rundown of all of the investments I've done from when I started until now. And so if you want to see the previous videos I've done on this, on the condo, the duplexes, the fourplexes, building up to this deal for an 8plex, you can check those out in a link that I'll put up here above. But for this property, this is now, once I've gotten into investing a little bit, and it was a big jump because it was the first deal I ever did that wasn't on a personal loan because it was 4 units or less. It was actually on a commercial loan, which changes a ton of stuff on the deal. When you do a commercial loan, you're required to put an entire 30% down on the loan. Now, there are other packages you can get to kind of work around that, but you usually always have to get into a loan situation where the rates are changing every 5 years, which can be really intimidating. You also usually have a balloon payment at 10 to 15 years. Now, what this means is you're paying on a 20-year mortgage at your interest rate, but after 5 years, that interest rate can change, going up or down, and usually that means going up. On top of that, once you hit the 10-year mark or the 15-year mark, depending on when your balloon payment is, you either need to pay off the property completely or you need to refinance into a different kind of loan, or a different loan with a different bank, or a different loan with the bank that you're already using. So it kind of makes things a little more scary because I'm someone that early on, I had just used personal loans where you're getting a 30-year fix, you've got your fixed rate, you've got a lower down payment. And so this deal, I needed to make sure the numbers were perfect for jumping into it. So I'm gonna show you all the steps I took so that I can get comfortable jumping from doing a personal loan into doing a commercial loan like I did on this property. So the way that I came across this property, I was actually looking through the MLS and I saw it pop up here in Rexburg. And what was crazy about the deal is right away I looked at it and I knew it was kind of a crap deal. The reason it looked like a crap deal is the rents were very, very low for where they were trying to sell it. Now, when I say crap deal, I don't mean horrendous. It was still something that someone might have considered buying, but in the market here, I think at that time period, people were finding better deals, and so it was sitting on the market. And I wanted to get into some of the bigger deals, so just purely out of curiosity, I decided to come and look at it. Now, I came in and I went into the first unit, and because I already owned property here in Rexburg, I knew the market, and when I walked through these units, I found out really quick that they were probably some of the biggest 2-bedroom apartments in all of Rexburg. Just a ton of space in both bedrooms, in the living area, a nice sized kitchen, a good sized bathroom. And so right away, I decided, wow, this is a unit that should be renting for substantially more than it is. Once I looked into the rents, I realized that they were way low, even for an average size 2-bedroom. They were bragging, saying, hey, this property has a 40-person wait list. You're always going to be able to keep it filled because there's such a long wait list of people that want to be in it that we have to turn down people every semester. Now, for any of you that know supply and demand, that should tell you right away that, holy cow, if there's a wait list, why not, instead of always having a wait list, eliminate the wait list by raising the price of rent? And I think that's something that a lot of people make the mistake in buying into, is a lot of people are worried of like, hey, am I gonna be able to keep the unit filled because I don't want vacancy? Don't worry about vacancy. You can always lower your rents back down to where you were renting it with this massive wait list. But you know, when you have a wait list, you have the ability to raise rents and still keep it filled. So I went in, I analyzed the deal, I put in what I thought I could get out of rents in a conservative estimate, and I looked at what it was currently renting for. I looked at my loan package, my interest rate, and I found that purchasing it with the current rent, I could still pay my mortgage. Now, as a long-term investment, that's a really scary way to buy real estate, but I was still cash flowing even with it being a situation where it wasn't the greatest deal. So I thought, all right, I know I can get rents up. I know I would still be cash flowing. I can pay my mortgage as long as it's full, which they have a 40-person wait list, so I should be completely fine without having to deal with vacancy. This is a college town run by the church, so evictions aren't usually something you have to deal with. And I decided, hey, I'm gonna take a little bit of a gamble because I'm really confident that I'm going to be able to increase rents and put myself in a safe place. From where the rents were when I purchased this property, now I think we're 3 or 4 years later, we have raised the rent from right around 500 to this year. For this next year, we've got people over 800 a month in this unit. So we literally are getting close to doubling the rents from when I bought it. At this point, with where I bought it, where interest rates were, where my mortgage payment is, we are now cash flowing like crazy. It's become one of my biggest cash cows, and I absolutely love this property because I was able to see a place to add value by raising rents. Now, I think a lot of times people are like, well, Chandler, I don't want to go in and raise rents if I'm not doing anything for the property. The truth is, we have done a little work on this. We repainted it. We've kept the insides very nice, but you should not feel bad at all buying a property that someone is renting for way below market value. Now, I'm sure the people that were in it were upset when we raised rents, but the other thing you've got to remember is we can't just raise rents in the middle of their lease. We have to wait until the end of their lease or find certain ways to incentivize them to leave early. So with some of these tenants, just because I didn't want to keep them at the low rents, right after I bought the property, I sent out a letter that says, hey, this is our plan to raise rents. All right, we're going to do that the second that your lease is up. And so we want you to have fair warning. However, if you're willing to have your rents raised now, we will fix X, Y, and Z in your property. We'll repaint, we'll change the carpets, we'll do whatever you need to make sure that you're stoked on it, and we can start raising the rents now if you'd like those improvements. Now, honestly, a lot of people didn't want the improvements because it was already clean. We waited till they finished their lease and we just bumped the rents. Some of them were the ones that we actually needed fixes in, and that gave us an opportunity to then not only raise rents, but go in while we were already getting rents and have them be patient with us. We cut them a deal from what we would have done at the end of the lease. We just raised it a little bit. We were able to work on the property while they were in it, why they were still paying us rent. And so there's always a way to look at your situation and still be super fair with your tenants. Find something that they feel comfortable with and find something so you can immediately raise rents. Now, this right away made me comfortable with the purchase because then I saw my rents increasing quickly before the leases were even up. I was able to increase the cash flow. And did I have to spend extra money doing some of the renovations? Yeah, but that's part of it, and I had money laid aside for that to where I knew the numbers would work so I could get an incredible return on it. So what I would tell you with this property that I learned is, first off, there are always ways to add value to a property, whether you're raising rents, whether you're doing improvements, to increase the value of your property, which is an awesome thing to look for because then I wasn't competing against a lot of the other investors that were here in Rexburg because they weren't looking at this property because they didn't recognize there was that opportunity for adding value. So that's the first big thing. Always try and find a way with the properties you're looking at to find kind of a niche where you can add value or increase rents so that you can find those deals that other people are passing up. The other thing that I learned is, even though I hate commercial loans, I hate the 30% down, I hate being in a situation where my interest rate changes, if you find the right deal to where you know you can get rents to a place where you're cash flowing extremely strong, those loans can still be incredible because you don't need all of the cash you would for some of these bigger properties. And now that I am 5 years in, it's interesting because interest rates as a whole are at the same or lower than when I bought the property. So I could totally refinance into an awesome situation, or I'm guessing when the 5 years with them comes to an end and they're gonna bump rates, I can negotiate and still be in an awesome place while I'm cash flowing extremely strong. So what I would tell you is it's totally worth it to move into these bigger units. I do think for a new investor, it's so much better to start with the fixed rate 30-year loans because you can leverage heavier, you can put less down, you can have a stronger cash flow so it's easier to find those good deals. However, when you find a deal like this, if you can get the leverage in place and you know you're gonna be cash flowing super strong, it doesn't matter the terms of the loan as long as you've got the cash flow strong enough to cover it. Now, don't read into that wrong. The terms of the loan are super important and they're something you can use to find good deals. But if you find an incredible deal that works with a subpar commercial loan, it's still totally worth it because you can pick up more units more quickly and be in a place where it runs super clean. The other big advantage I found with this is it's very easy to keep the tenants happy, because when you do come over to take care of it, you're not coming over for one door, but you've got 8 doors. It's all in one place. Your maintenance on your lawn care is going to be less. A lot of times taxes end up being less because it's more units on one property. And so there are all of these different advantages that come from going into a bigger unit, where you can find units that your cash flow is going to be stronger to make up for the crappier leverage that you end up having to go with. So this deal was a big jump for me. It was scary to get into a bigger purchase price deal, but I'm so grateful I made the jump. Now, I wouldn't say that this is better, again, than a duplex or a fourplex like what I started with. And that's why I think as you move your way up, there's nothing wrong with learning, growing, and seeing that there isn't a best investment. Whether you're doing single family, a duplex, a fourplex, an 8plex, a 24plex, I've learned that as long as the numbers work, they're all incredible investments. Now, if you enjoyed the video, push the like button, subscribe to the channel, go check out that link so you can see the videos I've done to where I got comfortable to build up to pulling the trigger on an 8plex, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can learn more about investing so that you can create a passive income for yourself. Thanks guys, have a great day.